Welcome back to part 7 of an author reading of Family Bank Blueprint by yours truly, Stephanie Lennon. Thank you for joining me. Now let's talk about school supplies, which is timely because my kids actually went back to school just this week. School supplies. As Labor Day approached, once more the time came to face the hordes at Target picking out school supplies. Pink folders without prongs and red folders with prongs and the blue binders with pockets, and you get the picture. School supply shopping is exciting for kids. Everything is fresh. School hasn't become a chore yet. They're looking forward to seeing friends that they'd missed. New binders, undamaged notebooks, spirals, sharp pencils, and fresh erasers, they all rock. For parents, school supply shopping often means ignoring several pretty good supplies that litter the house. It reinforces the consumerist culture that we find ourselves living in, where the things we have are so last season. After that, they get discarded or clutter the house. School supplies present the perfect opportunity to offer the gift of choice. The scene unfolded as such. Here's your budget. You may buy the new backpack, the new lunchbox, the new earbuds, the new binders, the new folders, blah, 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 blah. Or you may pocket the money and use last year's binders, backpack, lunchbox, folders, earbuds, etc., etc. Or you may raid mom's office supply cupboard for whatever is in there for free. Sometimes there's new stuff if I get it on massive sale. Sometimes there's recycled stuff, things that were claimed at the end of last year and tucked away, actually right here, tucked away for future use. Anything in between is fair game and upgrades come out of pocket. However, you must end up with everything the teachers requested. That is the requirement. The kids wrap their heads around this idea fairly quickly. Little man: but we need new notebooks. Mom: you definitely need notebooks because you've written in the old ones. Baby girl: we definitely need new crayons and glue. Mom: you need new glue, but do you need new crayons? Some of your crayons are only a little bit used. Baby girl: but most of mine are used. Mom: would you rather have the money or would you rather have new crayons? I'll spend the same money either way. I'll either give it to you or I'll give it to Target. Doesn't matter to me because I am spending the money either way. But it matters to you because... I had a long pause while everyone thought about that. Little man: so there's stuff we'll have to buy, like glue and notebooks and more pencils and stuff. Will we have to use our supply budget on that? Mom: you need to have all the right school supplies at the end. If we find school supplies in my cupboard that we already have, then they're either new or gently used, and you decide to use them, then that's for free. You can take those and you don't need to buy more. You can save the money. Little man: but you said we need to buy new notebooks. He clearly was obsessed over the notebooks. Mom: you definitely need new notebooks. You don't get to keep every single dollar unless I have notebooks in the cupboard. You can shop for free from my little store, or you can shop with real money at someone else's store. Little man: but we need new markers, new rulers. Mom: has your ruler really worn out? Little man: it broke. Mom: well, then you need a new ruler unless you have an extra one. How did your ruler break? Did you, measure too many things? General laughter. After the exchange above, we went into a general discussion about video games and who wanted to buy what and how much the game discs cost. We talked about the difference between buying new versus used games and how they seem to work the same regardless of how much we paid and the condition of the packaging. I included that in the last section video. A parallel was drawn back to school supplies. The kids set off to examine their markers, crayons, and other possible reusable items. In addition to the school shopping in the moment, we gave them the option to change their minds. If they decided to reuse something early on and then later decided they wanted a new item, they could always buy that thing later. We removed the artificial now or never urgency of school supply shopping since they each had the minimum requirements for showing up on the first day of school. We could have forced them to reuse supplies that had life in them. We made the conscious decision not to go that route because we wanted them to find the upside of the budget discussion. To affect positive change in the long game, this had to be a clear win for our test subjects and not a takeaway. Here's how it unfolded in year 1. Our rising 4th grader, baby girl, she reused her backpack from last year and offered an older backpack to her younger sister. She reused her lunchbox and earbuds from last year. She rummaged in the supplies cupboard for other supplies on hand. She price shopped at the store to decide on whether or not to pay the differential between the store brand binder and the name brand binder with the better color. She discovered to her delight that the name brand binder actually cost about 17 cents less than the store brand, and she loved using the price checker kiosk. She pocketed the full allotment, which went straight to her ledger. This helped her afford to buy a half interest in the Nintendo Switch that we talked about last time. My third grader, Little Man. Little Man bought a new backpack that he spotted at Costco priced above the allotted budget. He paid out a pocket for the differential, and he loves his backpack with no regrets. He chose to reuse this new backpack for the following school year as well. As a side note, he just headed into ninth grade. He still has that backpack. So he paid for quality, and that's fantastic. He bought upgraded headphones that had cool colors from Amazon. He paid out of pocket for the differential. He was very excited to receive and open the Amazon box, which was addressed to him. He reused his lunchbox from the previous year. He found his other supplies in the home cupboard, including the notebook and ruler that he was worried about. Lastly, he didn't pocket any surplus money, and he actually outlaid an extra $1.84. He was very happy, though, because he had exactly what he wanted. Wee Wen, going into first grade, she reused her sister's backpack from the previous year. She reused her Snoopy lunchbox from the last year as well, which was a gift from a dear neighbor. Originally, she wanted to buy a new lunchbox, but when she didn't buy it right away, with the idea that she could always change her mind later, she either forgot about it or decided it wasn't worth the money. She did buy new earbuds, since hers from last year were lost or damaged, and she stayed on budget. She rummaged through her cupboard for pre-existing supplies, including sharpening what felt like a million pencils to meet the required number asked for by each teacher. And she also pocketed a full budget, which went straight to her ledger. The unspent funds helped her get over the threshold to be able to afford the Gizmo that she chose to purchase later in the year, which we also spoke about in the last episode. All in all, the school supplies experiment was a wild success, and we've repeated this exercise every year since. The children were given reasonable budgets to fulfill their annual list of office products. Empowered to make their own decisions, each took the path that felt right for them. As the chief school shopping facilitator, I didn't have to say yes or no, but simply asked how much each item cost and if it was worth spending the sometimes extra money or not. I made a point to be very neutral and non-judgmental in asking the question. Each of the three needed to make his or her own decision to fully internalize the lesson. This is now our 6th year having gone through this exercise with school supplies. The kids know that they can reuse materials, which they think about at the end of the previous school year and decide what is just trash or not reusable. You certainly can't reuse a notebook that's been either written all over or the spiral's crushed. But a lot of other supplies like pencils, pens, highlighters, those types of things are extremely reusable. When the children have motivation to reuse some of these things, it allows them again to make that conscious decision. What's it worth to me? Is it worth having the brand new box of crayons or not? Well, if you get them at the right time, a box of crayons might be 25 cents. It might be worth it. Who cares, right? But other things are more expensive. And so being able to make that decision of thinking about is how would I spend my own money? That's a really important skill. When they're in the workplace, whether they actually own their own business and it is their own money, or if they're working for somebody else and deciding how to spend the budget for the corporation that they're with, having that mindset of would I spend this if it was my own money and treating budgets that way, it's a very important skill set to have and to nurture. Your manager, if you're not the owner of the business, will tremendously value the fact that you are spending money prudently, using resources wisely. How can you reuse? How can you recycle? Where do you outlay because you want the upgrade? And where do you just like, I don't need that, or I'll borrow it when the time comes. There are a lot of school supplies that kid 1 needed the protractor for a day, a week, and then kid 2 can certainly use it and kid 3 can as well, assuming it doesn't get broken. Those are the kind of things we want them thinking about of let's buy the thing and buy it once when we can. Let's reuse when we can. Let's recycle. Let's be creative. And if you really, really want the thing, buy it. That's what the power of money is, and the power of being able to control your own budget and your own spending. You can make those decisions. You can decide, is it worth the new backpack? Maybe use the one you got until November and then get the upgrade. This year, both the middle and the high school put in weapons detection systems that the kids have to pass through every day on their way into school. Different discussion for another time of a sign of the times. But where that's important is they had to rethink. Some school systems have where you actually have to bring in a clear backpack. So we didn't want to buy anything in advance, but we didn't necessarily want to buy if we didn't have to. So our school system has not yet implemented the clear backpack rule. Good to know. So we haven't had to do that. But they did have to think about binders. So the 3-ring binders can definitely set off the metal detectors, in which case then they have to pull it out every single day on their way into school, along with the metal water bottle. Okay, well, do we buy new water bottles? Do we buy different binders? Apparently there are some low metal binders out there. It's interesting what's going on because some things are not recyclable when you have to then upgrade and do something different. Now that's for me to decide how much of it is coming out of their budget and how much do I change the budget in order to accommodate what it is that they need to buy. Again, versus what do they want to do? Maybe a kid just wants to have a collection of folders, which is fine. It's the idea of problem solving. How do you get all the school supplies you need? How do you not break the bank along the way? How do you save money? And what's it worth to you? That's the lesson we're teaching here. Again, it's trade-offs. It's trade-offs and using budget that we were already going to spend on them. All right, I've gone on a little bit long on this topic, but it's top of mind because this is back to school week and it is all about how do you teach money lessons along the way. If you're finding this content valuable, I would truly appreciate a like and or a share and or a subscription. I'm a YouTuber. Every little bit of support helps and I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll put in the notes below how you can purchase Family Bank Blueprint if you're interested. Available on Amazon, both in paperback and in Kindle. Thank you.